Welcome to Tech Tools for School Counselors, hosted by the Virginia Department of Education. We're really excited for this continued module, Tech Tools 2, where we're going to talk about workflow tools and also highlight some of the other tech tools that we didn't get to in the last session. So with that being said, I'm really excited to get started. I'm Steve Sharp, preferred pronouns, he, him.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Cleveland, preferred pronouns, she, her. Let's get started.
Yeah.
So the first tool that we want to talk about is Doodle. And I want to share with you all that I first started using Doodle when I got so frustrated with the number of emails going back and forth with teachers when I was trying to plan parent conferences and meetings. Sometimes people would hit reply all, sometimes not, and then I'd have to go through everybody's response to see when they were available. And it was really hard because sometimes I had their schedules. I knew when their prep times were and lunches, but I didn't necessarily know if somebody was taking off that day or had another meeting with a parent that wasn't on their course schedule. So I always had to email and find out when everybody was available. And it just became a very time-consuming task. And oftentimes there were sometimes 20, 25 emails going back and forth about availability amongst, maybe 7 or 8 teachers, child study team members, folks like that. So I discovered Doodle, and it totally took a task that was maybe 2 hours, and it took me maybe like 3 minutes to schedule a meeting. So I would find the times that most people were available. I'd set up a quick poll, send it out, and I'd get a response very quickly and schedule a time for a parent meeting. What a time saver. And I've used Doodle since then for so many other purposes. So as an example of what this looks like, and it's totally free, there's a paid feature, but I've never used the paid feature. As an example, you can see that you can invite folks to your Doodle poll and you will list certain dates or times, and you can do dates and times where folks might be available to have a meeting. Now, the easy thing about Doodle is I have it synced with my Google Calendar, which is, again, a free feature. So I can just look on Doodle and it automatically syncs with my calendar. I'll see the times I'm free. I pick out the times. I might set a 30-minute meeting, an hour meeting, any time that I may choose. It's in 15-minute increments. And then I just send out, I can either send out the link to the poll, or I can just email the poll to everyone through Doodle, which is, again, a free feature, or I can do both if I really want to aggressively communicate with folks to fill out my poll. So it's just an incredible feature. So as an example here, you can see all of my friends, and we wanted to plan a girls' night together, maybe do some karaoke. And I decided, you know what, let me send out a Doodle poll. And you can see all the green checks indicate the dates that they're free. The red indicates a time that they're not free. And the yellow indicates like, if I have to do this time, I can move some things around, but it's not my favorite times. It's a great feature, that if need be feature. Like, I can do this, not my preferred time though. And then I can just quickly schedule a time that we're all available to meet to do some karaoke together.
How does one schedule a meeting with Beyonce? Tell me after this.
Got to be a member of the Beehive. So it is that easy, and it just saves so much time. So one of the main features that folks will use it for is to schedule a meeting, but you can also send out polls if you're part of a book club, or you want to schedule some other things, or have folks, vote on a poll. There's lots of different features that are in Doodle. It is completely free. And I also have it synced with my Google Calendar, that I can send out a link for folks to schedule a meeting with me, so that I have it set up so that they can't see what's on my calendar. They just see if I'm free or busy, and they can pick a time slot. So instead of me going back and forth with folks or even setting up a poll, I can just give them a link and say, hey, here's the link to my calendar. Pick a time that works for you, and we'll schedule a meeting. So it has saved me so much time. I don't know what I would do without Doodle. So it's super easy to set up your first bookable calendar. Again, it is completely free. There are some paid features. You can set up group meetings or individual meetings, but definitely check it out and go to their YouTube channel to see some quick tutorials. They have some 1-minute videos, so you can see how quickly you can set up Doodle and sync it with your Google Calendar or any other calendar that you're using. But Doodle isn't the only application out there. So we want to emphasize that you may want to talk with your IT department and see if your district district is already paying for or has authorized use of a different calendar feature. There's Calendly and You Can Book Me, which are two other popular features. I had used You Can Book Me for parent conferences. Sometimes like when the teacher set up their conference schedule, I had a You Can Book Me calendar for parents to set up a time if they wanted to come and meet with me. And they couldn't see the other times that other folks selected. They would just see some available slots. So again, check with your school district and see which one of these they may already be using or maybe on your approved list. So another feature that has been such a time saver is the Boomerang extension in Google Chrome. It is a paid feature. It's paid, but there is a free version. And again, I have never used the paid version. I'm going to show you how to get around some of those features. You can schedule emails to go out later using the Boomerang extension. You can snooze your emails to come back at a later time. It can be set up so that, let's say you send an email to someone and say, hey, Steve, when are we going to go check out that new comedy club? And if I don't hear back from him, it'll send me a reminder and say, hey, Steve never responded. He may not be into this comedian. So it'll be a nice reminder. But the most important feature, pretty much the only one I'm using Boomerang for right now, is pausing of my inbox. So every day, at the end of the day, I pause my email so that no other emails appear in my inbox. This is really helpful for me because I oftentimes might accidentally check my email or I may have it on my phone, but because my inbox is paused, I will not see those emails coming in. And sometimes when I'm really busy during the day, I don't want to see emails for maybe an hour or so I can pause my inbox for any amount of time that I choose. So I can set it for 2 hours or 1 hour, or I can select a date and time when I want all my emails to come back in. So I use this feature at the end of every day where I pause my inbox, and I use it during vacations and weekends. What's also important about this is that my team knows that I use this feature. They know that any emails that come to me, I will not see until the next time I'm back in the office. So there is no expectation that I am even seeing emails. Really, really helpful tool. So I highly recommend you take a look at that. Now, there have been some times we all get a little backlogged with work, and I may be going through emails and say, okay, it's the end of the day, like I'm sort of off the clock, but I'm feeling a little overwhelmed and I want to respond to some of these things. Or I definitely want to get someone's attention, but I know that if I send an email at the end of the day and they check their email the next day, my email might be several emails down and they might not see it. So I'll schedule my emails to go out at the time that I know that they're back in the office, so it's very top of their inbox. So it's a great way for me to get responses from folks and to manage some of my own time and not feel so overwhelmed. I can easily just accidentally click on my email inbox, so this really prevents me from seeing some of those emails. Gives me a little bit more control over my inbox and gives me control back of my personal time. So another feature that you can use that you don't need Boomerang for is this kind of hidden feature in Gmail. Not many people know about this. So in this image here, this little GIF, you can see that you have to be in your inbox to use this feature. You can't open up the email. So in your inbox, if you hover your mouse over the message, all the way to the right, you'll see it here. There's a little clock that appears, and it's a great way for you to snooze your emails. So you can pick a date and time when you want that email to come back to you. So why is this helpful? Well, generally on a Monday or coming back from a vacation or really any day, I might look and say, okay, it helps me to prioritize, and I'll say, these are the emails I need to respond to right away. And I'll snooze all the other emails that I can either respond to at the end of the day, later on this week, or, at another time in the future. So it helps me to prioritize my inbox. I also use the snooze feature when I have a meeting set up. So let's say I have a meeting set up in, next week or 2 weeks from now, and there's a whole email chain about, something that's happening. I will snooze that email to come back at the start of that meeting, so I don't have to be reminded of what that conversation was. I don't have to search for it in my inbox. I know that it's coming back and we'll address it. And also, once I send an email, if I know that I want to hear back from someone by a certain point, instead of me writing like, hey, don't forget to circle back to this person, I just snooze that email to come back at a certain time where if I don't hear from them, I know that I, want to circle back to them as a reminder. It's truly an incredible time saver, and I just love this snooze feature.
When we talk about productivity software, a great tool can be Trello. Trello is a web-based task management system that allows you to work with your team, and you can invite as many different members of your team to it to then work on different projects. The way that Trello manages its projects are by boards. You can think of them as pin boards or bulletin boards that have different cards on them. These virtual cards are highly interactive. You can put in checklists, you can put in descriptions of each of the different tasks or each of those different cards. You can tag as many different people in there to have different tasks completed at different times or on different dates. And in addition to that, each of these tasks has an activity log, so you can actively track the work that's being done throughout the process. The best part is Trello is free. There are additional features that can be purchased for freemium, but you can get started with this very quickly and easily. One of my favorite features, however, when it comes to tracking these tasks and moving them from the doing to the done and making sure that everyone's having effective communication on what role they should be doing, is really, if you look to the next slide, one of the best features of it is that it's automated too. You can create automated features within each task to then provide notifications or nudges or bumps for people as tasks continue to be completed and jobs done. For school counselors, as our jobs can be very spanning and broad, and there can be high levels of collaboration, Trello can be a great tool to effectively manage both the task and the communication as we're continuing with our workflow.
Yeah, this is an incredibly useful tool. And I find, Steve, that one of the things that I never fully understood when I was in graduate school about the role of a school counselor is how much program management we do and how much cross collaboration we have. So Trello is a great tool to list out those tasks, to understand your workflow, especially if you have some new counselors or interns coming in. It helps, as counselors, we know that we backwards plan for different things. We know our schedules have to be done at a certain time, or, our college or career fair is at a certain date. So it helps us to plan, and it provides accountability. So everybody knows what tasks are assigned to them, when they're due, and you don't have to have a whole lot of meetings.
One thing else I like about it is the privacy features. In addition to that, Trello does have two-factor authentication, so we can make sure that the people who are having access are the people who need to be part of the project.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a helpful tool.
As we're talking about, additionally, one tool that we want to highlight is Canva. Canva is a really great tool because it's a graphic design tool that anyone can use, and it can create high-level infographics, pamphlets, and other guides, because we understand how we communicate with our students, with our stakeholders, is visually. To talk more about it, we actually pulled in one of my former interns, Kelsey Kamen, who's now the program coordinator for the National Center for Women in Information Technology for Counselors for Computing. She does a lot of great work with technology, and she's got Highlight Canva for us now.
Yeah, we're really excited to feature Kelsey. After she interned for Steve, I scooped her up to be part of our team because of the technology skill set she has. And she also does a lot of consulting on the side because of these tools that she has in her technology toolbox. So when Kelsey showed me Canva, I thought, wow, I have been doing all this by hand. And I have to tell you, one of those other things as a school counselor I didn't realize was how many flyers or other promotional tools I'd be creating. And I have no experience in graphic design, but this is such a useful tool for a newbie like me to, feel comfortable creating some content. So we're excited to feature Kelsey.
Yeah, before Kelsey showed me Canva, I was using this tech tool called the Etch-a-Sketch. It was very good because it had two distinct knobs that would help you to make any image. In all seriousness, though, hopefully what we're trying to communicate is our skills and training as school counselors help us be equipped for a range of different tasks. And by understanding these design principles and understanding these different tools, you can really apply these skills in many different sectors. Shout out Russ Sabella Side Hustle. But with that being said, why don't we hear a little bit more from Kelsey now?
Canva is an online design and publishing tool with the mission to empower everyone to design anything and publish it anywhere. So you can utilize this tool in your comprehensive school counseling program to promote and create collaboration. Impress and engage your students and peers with all of your personal creations, and have them thinking that you're a graphic designer. Canva houses over 65,000 layouts of varying forms and that you can use to create. You can use existing templates for social media graphics, newsletters, presentations, and program promotion, or customize your own creations from scratch. So you can design your own lesson plans and presentations in Canva. You could use like weekly calendar spreads or mind map templates to brainstorm visually. You could create engaging slides and visual aids easily integrated with your Google Suite. And you can find free lesson plans and presentations shared by other educators, or you could share your own, and that's through Canva Education. You can help your students create portfolios that they can carry on for their post-secondary success. You could integrate Canva into your career lesson plans. So if you set up Canva Education Classroom, you can comment and assist the students with their projects remotely. And you can have students create digital career artifacts or portfolios that you can use for your career counseling artifact standards. You can utilize Canva for students to practice design thinking or let your students experiment and innovate as they problem solve and they create. You can create a brand for your comprehensive school counseling program. You can create newsletters, posters, and information materials that they can share both physically and digitally. You can use the templates to create these in minutes, or you can start from scratch and craft your own. There are so many video tutorials that are available for free on the Canva website just to show you how to make each individual project or even get some ideas for your own projects. You can showcase your comprehensive school counseling program data with visually appealing graphics and infographics to share with your school district and school administrators, or share with parents as you engage them in your school counseling program. What you'll see is each Canva project is editable with this dashboard here. Here I am utilizing a career expo flyer template and adding my own creativity and information as needed. So all of your tools are seen on the left side of the dashboard, and you can create different text features, add shapes and images from Canva's free and or paid library. You can export your creations as any file needed. And other features include adding like videos and music. You can upload your own images for backgrounds or clip art. And all of your creations are saved in your personal Canva library, shown each time you log into your free or paid Canva account. So take a look at the dashboard. There's so many tool offerings and fun ways to get creative with your projects. Canva accounts range from the free version that has like thousands of free templates, images, fonts, and other features, or you could get a pro or enterprise version for multiple teams to collaborate. Canva offers educators free accounts, so you would just need to use your school email address or talk with your school district to have a school-wide educational account. And Canva makes any creative idea possible without having to be a graphic designer, so sign up and get creating.
Thank you again, Kelsey, for all that helpful information about Canva and its versatility. Again, what I really appreciate about Canva, as you know, is just how it frees up time, how we're able to use all that extra time because we've been able to create all these different visual diagrams, pamphlets, and tools so quickly and easily. It's a real time saver, so thank you for that. When we talk about time savers, one of my favorite time savers is if this, then that. Imagine for a second that we take some of those automated features that are happening within Trello to communicate to stakeholders, to shift tasks from one job to another. But now let's just try and see if we could create automated features across applications. That's one of the things I love about If This Then That. If This Then That uses applets, which are mini applications, to create unique connectivity between your existing applications. So my Facebook picture and my Twitter profile picture could be changed simultaneously. Or if I provide a post in Twitter, it could be shifted over to Instagram or Facebook automatically. In addition to that, I could provide new content on YouTube and tweet out about it without ever opening up Twitter, or simply like a video and tweet out about that as well. It also integrates with your calendar features and so many other features as well to create synchronicity between calendars, to provide notification, to create logs as far as posting pictures or calendar activities, and so much more. And one of the best part about these applets is they are able to create real-world interactivity as well. If you have something like an Alexa or Google Home, simply by making a request to your Alexa or Google Home with one of these applets might create some digital activity as well for you. So if this, then that, if you take some time to explore these activities through the applets, you can find a range of different things that can really save some time and improve the span and scope of the work that you're doing seamlessly. All you need to get started is really just a Google ID, and you can click in and get started in no time.
So, Steve, as you're saying this, one of the things that jumps out is our counseling department had Facebook, Twitter, and an Instagram account. And it took us a long time to constantly have to rewrite the content and post it on all of these accounts. You're saying that this could happen just once and seamlessly and have the same content, whether I'm sharing about our carnival or an upcoming financial aid night or scholarship opportunities. I don't have to do it on every single account individually.
Yeah, in addition to that, you could have just your school district Facebook account or your school district Twitter account, and all of your counseling department could automatically retweet anything from the district and provide its own original content all at the same time. It's seamless, it's easy, and it's kind of fun to do.
Wow, this is a really incredible tool. What am I going to do with all this free time now?
I think you're going to have to get back into gambling. When we talk about one of the biggest requests we got from the survey results from participants was to take some time to talk about career readiness. And the reality is there are a range of career readiness tools out there for school counselors and schools to use now. But as we get further into the 21st century, many of these are becoming subscription-based services. Absolutely, the foundational place I would encourage anyone to start is My Next Move. My Next Move is actually the foundation for most career readiness work. My Next Move is developed by the Department of Labor, uses M.Ed and the resources from the Occupational Handbook for all the descriptions. They have updated these descriptions on a regular basis, including talking about the 21st century or technology skills of all these different careers. Most importantly, My Next Move is a Holland-type career interest inventory, so our students are able to explore all these different careers that are available through the Department of Labor and understand how they integrate with the real world, both for education, for, again, salary or income, and when we talk about technology skills and so much more. So it's a great free resource. It's such a great free resource that we understand that foundational code is actually used for so much more out there. In addition to that, there's EverFi. EverFi is going to be a great free tool as well. EverFi provides lessons. It provides lessons for elementary, middle, and high school on things like financial learning, social emotional learning, when it comes to college and career readiness, and much more. They're able to provide assessments and even tracking and build out portfolio systems for school entities as well. It's a very great comprehensive system that's available for free. If you have a chance to check out EverFi, it could be a great tool for learning for your students and for managing from a systems level. But when we talk about creating just a systems level, we also want to create a great experience for our students. If you've read our book or seen any of our previous writings, we talked a lot about Google Expeditions as an immersive VR tool for both college tours and for career readiness. As of 2021, Google Expeditions has been integrated to some of the greater Google services, but still, if you look at Google's arts and culture, you can find some of those great expedition tools still there, including many of these careers where our students can take these immersive VR experiences to see some great career experiences, whether it be women in science and STEM or so much more. So I encourage you to take some time to check those out because you could create a unique experience for students to explore an aspect of the world of work in ways that they wouldn't normally have a possibility to do. But if you go to the next slide, when we talk about creating those immersive post-secondary experiences, UVisit is the model for that. Right now, UVisit will provide thousands of campus visits for our students across the world. It's going to be immersive. These panoramic pictures that our students can do can be like a VR-like experience where they can drag and click across the campus view. In addition to that, they'll have a personalized tour guide to tell them information about the campus or the spot on campus that they're at, and provide additional quick view information when it comes to tuition, number of students, type of campus as well. I know as a middle school counselor, I really like UVisit to provide some of that foundational understanding for my students of what college and universities are like, how campuses are similar and different, and how they can understand what to look for as they start to explore their post-secondary experience. So take, for instance, we're looking at the University of Virginia here. So this could be a good chance for you to see some of the features on campus if you want to be so cavalier. So please take some time, check out UVisit as part of your post-secondary portfolio that you're providing for your students as well. It's a really great tool that can be immersive and fun for students.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of counselors at the high school and middle school level who've been using these features, especially for students and families who don't have the means to physically visit all of these schools in person. It's not the same as being there in person, but it certainly does create a fantastic immersive experience. So you get a real sense of what it's like to be there on campus. And especially during this pandemic, when a lot of campuses were shut down and they weren't open for visits, families relied on this content. So this database of universities and colleges has just really expanded, and it's provided more learning opportunities. So especially at the middle school level, before students are really doing those college visits, we've seen a lot of counselors who have integrated this into their career lessons so that students can say, oh, I'm really interested in this field of study. What is it like to major in this at this university? What do these science labs look like? Things like that. It gives them more of that experience of being on campus without having to travel.
Yeah, and that's what I really appreciate about it. I know that we wrote about it in the book and some of our other articles that we've written about this type of work. These type of experiences, like UVisit, they're great equity tools. What we understand is exposing our students early on to these immersive experiences helps to demystify college for them. It helps them to better understand how it can be a realistic experience. They can literally see themselves on campus through this experience as well. And you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars for buses and worry about chaperones and time travel from there and miss instructional time during the travel time. You just need to have a web-based device, and you can provide these opportunities for your students to start to spark curiosity and conversation about what their futures can look like.
Absolutely. So the last tool we want to close out with is a tool that is incredibly versatile for a lot of different goals that we have as school counselors and educators. So this tool is called Mentimeter. And if you've ever used a tool like Kahoot for quizzes, you'll know that the website that you go to develop your surveys or your presentations is different from the website that you share out. So you would go to mentimeter.com to sign up for your totally free account. There is a paid version, but you just need the free version for what we're going to cover. And if you want to share out a link to your poll, you just tell folks to go to menti.com. So mentimeter.com is to set up your account and to develop your content. Menti.com is what you share out, and it just brings people to a site that says input the code that was shared with you. So really, Mentimeter is a presentation tool. It's a really different, very dynamic presentation tool because there's a lot of embedded engagement with participants and data collection tools. And all of the data from your presentations is completely saved on your free account. So you don't have to pay for that feature. Now, the pay feature gives you access to more than 2 slides using one code, and you can keep your code active for a little bit longer, 14 days. But on the free version, you can keep it active for just 7 days. You can keep, extending the length of it. You just have to go back in. And you only have access to 2 slides. So generally, I've just used Menti for some quick polls and surveys, but you can use it as a presentation tool. You can develop teams and share out the tools. I've used this. I can reset the results of my polls so that I can use the same information. I don't have to keep developing a new one for every class I'm going into. It's a super helpful tool. But again, it is primarily designed as a presentation tool, and there are so many new features being added all the time, and I use it for so many different purposes. So let's get started and learn a little bit more about what we can do with Mentimeter. So when you sign up for your free account, the first thing that you'll see is that you would select this plus sign to develop a new presentation, and then it gives you types of questions that you can ask. You can ask multiple choice questions with a bar graph. You can just have the text there with a response. You can have an image, or you can have a moving image or a GIF that you include. There are open-ended responses that you can include, word clouds. You can have folks rank the maybe different colleges that they're interested in seeing. If you're going to set up a college fair for students and a schedule for them, you can have them rank their choices of what priority colleges they want to see. You can have lots of different questions in here that you can use to collect data and really inform your comprehensive school counseling program. So as a quick example of the open-ended question and answer feature, I've used this when I've had a career panel and I've had an audience of some students or some families. Maybe I've had a financial aid night. And sometimes you get folks who have a question and then they email you or try to stop you afterwards to ask you a question because they're a little bit shy about asking it in front of the whole group. But if you share out a code that says, hey, like if you have any questions, like drop them in here, they can just from their phone go to menti.com, type in their quick code. It's usually 6 to 8 digits, and they can just share their question anonymously, and you can scroll through and see what questions folks have. So when I use that, I see, oh, I'm recognizing like there's a lot of the same question coming up. Let me ask that. Or this is a different question. Like this is, something interesting. Let me feature this question and ask this to the panelists. So it's a great way to crowdsource all of those questions. And then when you see that maybe you've run out of time and you didn't get a chance to answer all the questions about the financial aid process, you can then look at all of those questions and develop a frequently asked questions document to answer all of those. So this has saved me so much time as a counselor because instead of me answering like hours of phone calls and questions afterwards, I could crowdsource all of those questions and give them one big response.
Angela, we just got a question from the participants. They're asking, what if the hokey pokey really is what it's all about?
Well, you got to turn yourself around.
Thank you for that.
So definitely check out Mentimeter. They're adding a lot of new features. We're going to show you just a handful to inspire you to explore a little bit further. So one of the features that we've used is this poll feature, and you can see, you can do it as a quick social emotional learning check-in. Hey, how's your week going? You can use this at the start of a presentation. I like using a question like this that's pretty simple because it gives me a sense of where folks are at in the room. And I can just reset the results and continue to use this. So you can see an example here of a code. You can see how short it is. And the reason why many folks will say, well, if I'm paying for Mentimeter, why wouldn't my code last forever? The reason is they want to keep the codes pretty short and active. So that makes sense. So people don't have to write down a whole long code for them to be able to participate. Now, with Mentimeter, you will see, you can ask the same question, but you can visualize the data or the responses in different ways. So we're using the bars here, but on the bottom left side of the screen, you'll see that you can also have a donut response for those hungry folks out there who like the donuts. You can have a pie response. Or I really like the scatter plots or the dots because you see the dots shoot across the screen as people are responding. And on the bottom,
dots do again? I'm sorry.
The scatter dots or this?
They shoot.
They shoot. They go from the bottom right side of the screen and then they shoot to the section of the response. And it is so cool. So oftentimes, like, how you might have this poll or survey and people are like, I'm not going to answer. But they love responding to Menti polls because once they hit submit, they see their responses go on the screen. So I tend to get more responses using Mentimeter because of the visualization of data. It's pretty cool. So you can also ask different kinds of questions, like you can have scaled questions. And here's an example. I love like this question about the comfort level with technology because you can see what the average response is, but you can also see where some of the other responses are with that shaded background. So I can see, if people strongly agree or disagree, about their comfort level with technology. And that helps me to be able to adjust my presentation. So if folks are not really comfortable with it, I'll make sure I spend a little bit more time. If they are pretty comfortable, I'll skip over some of the basics. Now you can use this scaled feature for sliders like we have on the top or for this spider chart. And you can also see how the data appears there. So again, it's the same kind of questions. It's just how you want it to appear on the screen. So that's a great feature with Mentimeter. I don't have to I don't have to create a slider question or a spider chart question. I could flip between the two on a dime. So here's an example of those open-ended questions. You can have speech bubbles that come up. You can have the questions appear one by one on the screen, or you can use the flowing grid with folks. So again, I tend to use this when I have a lot of like a panel discussion, or just a way for me to collect responses. I could even share out the code and just ask a question to students about, hey, we're going to have this activity coming up. What are some things you're looking forward to? What are some questions you have? So I can collect those questions in advance. It's so easy for them to respond directly from their phone. It's a little bit easier than sharing out a Google Form survey where, they might have to pull up and it might look a little bit smaller on their screen, and they kind of like, responding to these. One of the things that I highly suggest you do with any open-ended responses, whether you're using Mentimeter or any other tool, is if folks are able to respond, you want to make sure that you are not necessarily sharing those live until you see what those responses are. Mentimeter does have a profanity filter. You can see that option here, but it's not 100%, and people could still write some inappropriate things that don't include swear words. So you want to make sure you are not sharing these results live. So my example of where I had that panel discussion and I had the responses coming up, I was the only one who was seeing those responses. It's also really helpful because if you've ever been in a situation where you have a speaker and you open it up for Q&A and nobody asks a question, I can just say, oh, I have some questions here, and I have some preset questions ready to go. This is a word cloud that you can create with Mentimeter. I've used this with our New Jersey School Counselor Association, where we asked for some descriptions of other words that describe the role of a school counselor. You can create a word cloud, and then you can have it printed on magnets and coffee mugs and t-shirts and tattooed on your body should you choose to do that. But remember, you want to use that profanity filter. So the way that you share out your results, you can see on the left-hand side that the code is set to automatically expire after 2 days, whether you use the free or paid version. So you want to extend that. The paid version gives you at most 14 days. Again, you can keep going back in and extending it, but you don't have to use the paid version. So it's going to expire no matter what. So you just want to, go back in and take a look at that. You can share a QR code so folks can just scan it with their phone, or a link that they can click on. But you can see on this image of the phone here, this is what it looks like on your screen if you just type in menti.com, and it just says, that you would just type in this code and hit submit. So it's super easy for folks to log in and participate. And you can see here, you can download the results, you can reset the results of your survey, you can share out the live results of the link if you wanted to do that as well. But I love the fact that these results are saved on my free Menti account. I can always go back and look at that data, I can download it, and I can share it with others as well. It's a very, very helpful tool. And they're adding new features all of the time. One of the newer features is a pin feature. So I use this with some younger children where I'll have a board of some different images, and they just slide the pin to the image that describes how they're feeling or, their responses. And this is helpful also for students or family members who maybe, don't speak English as a first language. So you don't necessarily want to have a lot of text. You can use an image, and they can just slide a pin on their phone to describe, like, I'm still confused about this financial aid process, or I think I've got it. And you can get some super quick responses.
We hope some of these tools are going to be helpful for you to either add some more time to your day, or streamline the processes you're already doing, or to make some of the tools that you're using more impactful. But most importantly, we hope that you stay tuned as we finish up with our final session as far as Google, and then are in front of you for some Q&A. But most importantly, we hope that we can continue to provide support for you as you continue to design futures. I'm Steve Sharp.
I'm Angela Cleveland.
Thank you.